I don't know if you guys ever watch this shit, but there's some shit on YouTube called The Conscious Community, and it's a dude named Saneter. He's out of New York, and he has a show called Saneter TV or Saneter 102, a couple different platforms where he talks to a bunch of fucking lunatic retards about Hebrew Israelites, Islam, fucking Christianity, science, all different kind of wild, fucking outlandish dumb shit. The problem is none of these fuckers or ancient Kemet, none of these fuckers have a clue about real science or what the fuck going on. Now, why do I listen to it? Because it's funny as shit. Because it's fucking entertaining as shit to listen to grown men who don't know what the fuck they're saying be put on this dude's platform, and thousands of people listen to this shit like it's real fucking truth, and they're fucking telling this shit, dude, to this community of people that think it's real science. So this one dude I seen tonight, his name, he calls himself Brother Sanchez, Bro Sanchez TV, some shit. So he had a debate on there tonight with another dude that calls himself. Cut to the fucking chase. Let me fix my eyebrows, man. My bushy ass eyebrows. Anyway, they had a debate about whether or not the out of Africa theory is actually real, and they had a debate about evolution. And to listen to two grown ass men talk about some shit they have absolutely no fucking idea what's going on is just hilarious. But anyway, Brother Sanchez, you win the Dumbass of the Week award, so congratulations. Let me break this shit down.
For these last 3 minutes, I guess. So if you say and this is the thing about old bones, that defies Mother Nature. If you go dig up my grandmother right now, nothing's gonna be in that casket. She already turned to ashes. Why do you have bones that can be millions and millions of years old? These some hell of a bones. And what make it so crazy is this. Now let me before I go too deep, I'm gonna screen share something else. Now the bones that he's talking about are not bones of people. These are bones of ape-like humanoids. And why would these bones survive for over 3 billion years when everyone else is decomposing? This is a deception. Paleontologists are all pale people. Ain't no black ones. So, if that matters for anything, it make you ought to want to question it, that these people telling you your story.
All right, dumbass. Time to get into this. The first thing he says is that old bones defy Mother Nature. No, they don't. Bones can be preserved through a process called fossilization. His support for his erroneous claim was that if you go dig up his grandma right now, that you won't find any bones because they'll all be ashes. No shit, fuckface, because they're in a box and they weren't fossilized. Then he goes on to ask, how is it possible that we can have bones that are millions and millions of years old? Hey, dipshit, Google the process before you come on YouTube and ask questions that a fucking second grader would ask, okay? Because you're making yourself look really dumb. Fossilization is the process by which a plant or animal becomes a fossil. Here's how it goes. First of all, the soft tissue that exists during life decays, leaving behind only the hard parts, such as the bones, shells, and teeth. Secondly, the hard parts may be transported or broken. This causes the fossilized remains to be incomplete representations of the living animal. It is much more common to find a fragmented shell or bone than it is to find a complete skeleton. Thirdly, and most important, the hard tissues become buried and altered. In most cases, this involves destroying the original material from which the hard parts were made, as minerals are slowly dissolved and replaced by new ones. Oftentimes, a hard part is dissolved without being replaced by new material, leaving behind only an impression or mold of the original animal. If this mold is filled with sediment that is later cemented into rock, it will make a cast of the original animal. These fossilization scenarios are a few of many possible processes that turn living organisms into rock-like material. Each process generally follows the 3 previously mentioned steps: decay, transport, and burial. Think of using the same procedure to bake 2 cakes and using a different set of ingredients for each cake. In our case, the cakes are fossils and the fossilization is the procedure. Then what does this idiot do next? Next, he tries to ask his opponent, why would it be so that bones of human-like creatures could survive for billions and billions of years? They didn't. There was no human-like creatures 3 billion years ago, buddy. Australopithecus afarensis lived between 3.9 and 2.9 million years ago, and is considered one of the earliest hominins, those species that developed and comprised the lineage of Homo and Homo's closest relatives after the split from the line of chimpanzees. Finally, this fucking retard, dude. He says that no one should be able to trust paleontology because all the scientists are pale people, suggesting that all pale people can do is create or think of things that are wrong. All while he uses the fucking internet platform YouTube that was created by Europeans. Dude, how the fuck is that? How's that for irony, dude? And also, hey asshole. Also, one of the fucking leading paleontologists in the world is a so-called black dude. Look him up. I think even Ong mentioned it to your dumb ass. His name is Haile Selassie. Look him up, bitch.
Problem with that, because a tree doesn't appear to be a randomly evolving creature. A tree apparently knows if it's a watermelon seed, I'm going to be a watermelon and I'm not going to make a mistake and evolve into an apple. We would still see little in-between species of evolutionary genomes, and we don't see them today. We see that every genome is totally unique and shares the same point of origin, and it appears to not to be created at all, because when you want to discuss creation origin stories, you got to deal with matter itself. That's why I went into electromagnetism. But that's a whole nother story, and I don't want to get too deep because I want to keep it simple for you. DNA can't tell you where you've been, where you're going, or where you're from. So when scientists say they have DNA proof that we come from out of Africa, that is a lie. If scientists could use DNA to tell where a person been, they wouldn't have to interrogate killers. They can get a blood sample and say, yep, you was at the store at 9 o'clock, man. We got the DNA to show that you bought bubble gum at 3:30. If they can trace it back for thousands of years using DNA to show where we from, why can't they trace it back to last week? That should be easier. So this show you DNA can tell you who you are, but it can't tell you where Brother Sanchez ate dinner at today.
Jesus fucking Christ, man. This dude says that trees are creatures. No, it's not. A tree is a perennial plant with an elongated stem, trunk, or supporting branches that usually has leaves, asshole. A creature is either a human or animal or imaginary being. Trees, my friend, are not creatures. Then he says that there's watermelon trees. Huh? Watermelon trees, dude? And he says that those watermelon trees know not to produce things like apples. There's no such thing as watermelon trees, Bubba. Then he says that, this is a good one. He says that DNA can't tell people where they've been. And his evidence for this claim is that if DNA could tell you where you've been, then the FBI wouldn't have to interrogate killers, and they would know that you were just at the store. Bro, you can't make this shit up, man. This dude has to be one of the dumbest assholes on the whole planet. Listen up, you got to understand something. Your DNA can't tell us what grocery store you were at unless you picked up DNA from some other source at the store and it was on your person. Then we could probably decipher that information and infer where you might have been. But your DNA doesn't tell us what store you bought your bubble gum at 3 hours ago. That's not how it works, you fucking retard. DNA tells us where our ancestors were from and what lineage we come from. Scientists use methods to track the movements and intermixing of human populations from the deep past to the recent history. If a genetic anthropologist has a DNA sample and a very large library of other samples to compare it against, that anthropologist can then quickly figure out which groups in the library that DNA is most closely related to. Let's move forward and listen to a couple more things that this fucking genius has to say.
Real quick.
Yeah, go ahead, brother.
Since human beings ain't born with no damn clothes on, how the hell they not gonna freeze to death up north, yo? Just curious.
Well, let me answer that. You've never been to the North Pole. We were told that the North Pole is an icy place. It's not. The North Pole is a tropical. When you travel into the North Pole, you're gonna pass by a lot of continents that they deleted off of the maps. Tropical continents. They're telling you you're running out of resources. They're mining lands that you never heard of. You can't run out of resources on this earth. It's plentiful. There are lands that's written on some of these pygmy maps that's not on our map. Anthropologists said that a lot of these third world tribes disappear from their lands. They don't know where they're going. They're going off map. We don't have the full, complete maps today. They ended the age of exploration with our ancestors, and they kept the original maps. There are lands that we don't know about. And when you travel to the North Pole, you start seeing the Pygmy land, beautiful lands that was spoken of by the ancients. They weren't making it up.
Right. Sanchez, how do they map the earth, yo? How do the Pygmies map the earth from the North Pole, yo? How could they do that? Through their imagination?
Well, here's the thing. If you live I can map my neighborhood right now. If you give me a sheet of paper and I haven't been home in 10 years, I can draw out to you right now a full layout of the entire city. I can map it out right now on paper.
All right, hold on.
Are you guys following this? He said that the North Pole is not an icy place. He said it's a tropical place. What? The hottest that the North Pole gets each year on average is about 73 degrees. In the winter, it gets down to -20, dude. It's mostly snow and ice. It's not a tropical place in any sense of your goddamn imagination. If this guy would have went to school, he would know that the word tropics comes from the Greek tropos, meaning turn, because the position of the sun moves between the two tropics within a year. The word tropical specifically means places near the equator. And guess what, asshole? The North Pole ain't near the fucking equator. Then he says that you can't ever run out of resources on planet Earth. This is terrible logic. If you have a finite amount of something and that thing is not being replenished, then eventually at some point it will run out, dipshit. To say we can't ever run out of resources shows what a straight up Muppet baby this dude is. Let's look at something like phosphorus, for example. It's an essential mineral that all plants and animals on Earth need, including humans. It's a basic resource that allows living cells to transfer energy, and when it's mined from phosphate, or it can be added to fertilizers to increase agricultural production. The problem is phosphorus is not a renewable element. And there are currently no known substitutes in very few areas in which it is mined. As the world chews through even greater amounts, our dwindling supply of this raw material grows even more pressing. But if you ask this dipshit, he'll say it's impossible to run out. He then said that we don't have any complete maps. He said we don't have any complete maps today and that we ended the age of exploration. This guy thinks that the Pygmies are the ones who had the complete maps, but in 2020 we don't have any of the real maps because they were stolen from us. But with satellites and GPS and air travel and numerous expeditions, we still don't have the real maps, Bubba? I wonder if this idiot has ever flown out of the country. I wonder if he was scared because the pilot didn't know where he was going to end up. Excuse me. He should have handed the pilot a fucking ancient pygmy map to ensure he knew where he was going. Then, Brother Sanchez, the dipshit of the week, he said that pygmies lived in the North Pole and they were able to map the entire world, though they never left the North Pole. Then when asked how did they do this, he said the way that they did this is similar to how he can go home right now to his old neighborhood and he can map out his old neighborhood even though he hasn't been there in 10 years. What the fucking shit? You can map your neighborhood because you've been there before? And you know where shit is? Huh? Hey, if the pygmies never left the North Pole, they wouldn't know where shit is. So what kind of fucking mentally retarded nonsensical comparison is this, dude? It would be like me saying, I've never been to Thailand, but I can draw a map of it because I can draw a map of my hometown. What the fuck? Hey, man. Yo, I don't know, dude. Saneter, I don't know why you put these type of dudes on your fucking platform and talk to the conscious community, but you need to get some real scholars on there because all these ignorant people are fucking up your audience, man. They're fucking up your audience. Get some real guys on there. I'm out of here, man. The Atheist Killer, Logically Offensive, the podcast, how I see it. You know what the fuck I do, man. Check me out. Peace.